Okay, we are live. I have hair sticking on my face. Oh, where is it? Do you ever get that where you like can't find the hair? That's what I'm dealing with right now. Oh, thoughts, thoughts, thoughts. We're going to talk about the impact that thoughts have on our life. We're going to talk about how to control thoughts, what the saints say about thoughts, what the Bible says about thoughts. I know that we've touched on this before, but this is going to be different. Excuse me. Because every single thought we have can drag us into despair, can elevate us into joy, can keep us in this funk that we have, can tempt us into sin. Every single thought we have is either going to make us healthier or make us sicker. Even just the thoughts that we have about, like, I can't lose weight, or owning some sort of sickness. So I have, dang, that's what we're not supposed to say. We're not supposed to say, I have a cold. I have hyperthyroidism. I'm going through a cold. Because when we say the have word, we have pretty much owned it. It is ours. It becomes part of who we are. If you have cancer, you're going through cancer because it, gosh, I don't know what's wrong with my throat today. It becomes our identity. What we think about comes about. So it's really important for us to pay attention to the thoughts that we have and do something about those negative ones, because our brain does not know the difference. Doesn't know that we can't lose weight. It believes it because we feed it that information with what we think about. I don't know why I closed that. It's so important. And how often do we just let our thoughts run wild? We just allow ourselves to think whatever we think, to, reflect and ruminate over what someone said to us. I mean, if you think about it, how many times, like, I'm on social media, so I could get comments, maybe I get 100 wonderful comments and one negative comment. That is the thing that most of us will latch onto and just ruminate about it, think about it, and be like, well, do I respond to that? Do I this? Do I that? Like, that person doesn't. If you make that intrusive thought kind of overwhelm you and take possession of you. Excuse me. So, like, right before I just started this live. Hey, Karen. Right before I started this live, I'm like, oh, you know what? I have a jar of peanut butter and I have these little zero carb. You took it. I have these little zero carb wraps. And I'm like, I'll have one of those before the show. And then I sat there with the peanut butter jar and the wrap sitting next to each other. And I'm like, am I hungry? Did this thought just come into my mind because I remembered that they were in the cabinet, or am I truly hungry and I'm going to have one of these? I chose to have one, but I didn't choose to have 3. Like, if I would have stopped and said after the first one, am I hungry? Instead of just going back and making another one, sharing a little bit of it with my dog. Speaking of which, oh my gosh. So I had this in the drawer since she was 6 years old. It's so there's a button for vibration, there's a button for volume, and there's a button for vibration and volume. So there's no shock So I have it around her neck right now. And anytime that she goes and she starts barking, if you've watched this before, she gets a ball stuck underneath a couch or something or under this table and she just starts barking. I push the vibration and the sound and she's like, whoa. So it's just been 2 days and she's trying to tell me that a ball is under something by whining and not barking. It's awesome. I can't believe I forgot about it. Can't believe I didn't pull that bad boy out. I was talking with a contractor and all she was doing was barking. And I'm like, wait a minute. I went in there, read the directions, put it on, and Bob's your uncle. Sometimes some people don't know what Bob's your uncle is. It's like, voila, it worked. Tell me, have you heard that Bob's your uncle one, or am I just like coming out of nowhere? Okay, wait. Good girl. See? All right, now I got to get the ball. Okay, thoughts. Karen, like this, I want this to be like an interactive thing. What thoughts come into your mind that you struggle with? I don't know if you heard the beginning of this, because the more we think about things negatively, we become that. What you think about, you come about. What you speak out loud, you also become. I'm a self-deprecating humor kind of person. Like I make fun of myself. And I'm trying not to do that anymore because that's training my brain to say that, oh, that's how we are, because your brain just doesn't know the difference between what you think and reality. So I was mentioning that I'm going through hyperthyroidism. I'm not saying I have it. I'm not saying I have a cold. I'm not saying I have this or I have that. I'm not, especially if it's negative, I'm not going to make it part of me and make it part of my identity. And then I can start thinking, and I started this a while back and then I stopped, I'm healed. I'm through this. My body is strong. My thyroid is normal. My heart rate is normal. Then I stopped. And you have to be consistent with your thoughts of positive reinforcement, especially if you're trying to get through something or if you're trying to change something. I am a person who works out. I enjoy working out. I am a person who feeds my body food that's going to keep it healthy. I know we've mentioned this before, but we're going to get into a couple of other things. Let me get the ball. Hold on. Where did you put it? Here, kiddo. Good girl. No bar. Oh, right here. It's right here. Good girl. So, Karen, I know you were talking about working out. I've been starting to do this mobility stuff. It is so hard. Nope, it's not hard. It's easy. My body will eventually be flexible and eventually be strong. Remember, I had mentioned that I wanted to do a handstand and hold it. I'm also looking at the Asian squat. And then, so if you go to the YouTube channel, Moves Method, I think that's what it's called, Moves Method. Oh, I mean, it is harder than lifting weights. And the idea is when you lift weights, you're up and down in a straight kind of way, like you're doing squats and you're doing lunges. And, you're lifting, you're just kind of doing this front and back, up and down type of movement where life is like this and that. And so it's like training your body to be stronger at the lengthened muscle areas. It's so cool, so very challenging. And I'm just going to keep with it, but I can feel already how looser my hips are getting, there's back bends in there, and you're probably thinking, oh my gosh, a back bend? I never even did that when I was in high school. Hey, Mike. But it's really cool. Moves Method YouTube channel. That chick can do so many things. And she has clients up to 80 years old. So you're never too old to move your body in the right way. All right. I feel like you guys are far away. Good girl, baby. I know you're so tired. So I want to talk about, obviously, I go to the Bible verses. So here are some that show that thoughts do shape our actions and our character. Proverbs 4:23. Hey, come on. I was going to throw that. You can't take it away. Come on, bring it back. Oh, you're so cute. Okay, Proverbs 4:23. With all vigilance, guard your heart, for in it are the sources of life. So what do we allow in our hearts? Negative thoughts, okay. See, there's the little thing right on her neck. Everything's pink. Oh, you can't see too much. Oops. Hello. Hello, look at that big pink block. Oh, baby, you're so tired. Okay. So what we allow in our hearts and minds eventually flows into our choices and actions. So like I mentioned with the whole, I can't lose weight, it's going to flow into your actions. You're going to be like, well, I can't lose weight, so I might as well have this bag of Cheetos or this ice cream or whatever it is. I'm just going to sit on the couch because I can't work out. This is why this whole moves method thing for me is such a challenge. But I can feel I can't do it the right way, but I know that if I stick with it, I'm going to feel so much better. It's been 4 days. So what we think about is actually going to form our actions. So when we're thinking about our faith walk, are we thinking that we are going to beat this vice and beat this sin? Or are we just, well, I don't know, I'm probably going to fall back into that, or I don't know how to control this? Oh, our thoughts mean so much. Oh, look, another Proverbs 23:7. As a man thinks in his heart, so is he. So again, our inner thoughts quietly become who we are. Matthew 15:18-19. But what comes out of the mouth proceeds from the heart. Evil thoughts, murder, adultery. So Jesus tells us that our thoughts are also going to lead to sin if we don't guard them. So how do you guard your thoughts? Good girl. I say this 1,000 times, and I'm so sorry. It's like, hey, from warm Colorado, what do you got going on over there, Ernie? It was 18 degrees here yesterday. Got up to 39, and then Thursday it's going to be 60. Maybe that's the stuff that we're getting from you guys. Want some? Let me see. I'd love to hear what you got going on out there in Colorado. Colorado, the sun is there so much that even though it snows, it seems warm. I don't know why I keep closing that. Guarding your heart. So when a negative thought comes in, 65 right now, dang. That's pretty warm. Wow. When a negative thought comes into your mind, just like I said with my peanut butter and my 0-carb wraps, like, am I hungry? Like when you have this immediate anger thought at someone, or a judgment thought, or a resentment thought, like, oh my gosh, I don't want to be angry like that. So the first part is identifying it. It's just like when I stopped swearing, which was, I couldn't say a sentence without dropping the F-bomb. So it was super difficult for me when I first started. It would slip, and then I would tell everyone, you know what, I'm working on it. This is the best way. If you've got like a sin that is attached to those thoughts, tell people what you're working on, because they're going to help you. Tell someone that's not going to be a jerk about it, of course. So I tell all the people that are working for me, I'm telling my husband, I'm telling everyone that I possibly can. So we're in a meeting and I drop the F-bomb and I say, I'm sorry. And I looked up to Jesus and I said, I'm sorry. And that happened quite a bit. And then it would come out halfway, like the fudge, and I would say fudge. And then I'd be like, I'm so sorry, because frickin' and flippin', everyone knows what you're trying to say. So just try to take it all out. When you say flippin' and frickin', people know you're trying to say the F word. And then it would, but I would notice it when it was coming out. In the beginning, I didn't even notice it. I didn't even realize how much of a potty mouth I was. And then I would think it in my mind. Like, are you effing kidding me? Or something like that would be in my mind. I wouldn't say it out loud. And I realized that, even when you look at a woman with lust, you're sinning with your heart, so get it out of there, because this is going to mess you up. Thinking about it, you're not totally changed. All right, let's try one of these. She hasn't pooped today, so I hope she doesn't go to the door. Okay. All right, what are some of your thoughts that you battle with? It could be I'm not good enough. I'm not holy enough. I'm not strong enough. Right, we're quite right. We are what we think. 100%, Mike. But what do we think? There are some times when I get so mad at myself and I'm like, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? Get some self-control. And that too is negative. And I'm not sure Jesus would want us to speak to ourselves like that. I always sometimes think that he's just sometimes just fed up with me. Like, really? You're doing that again? What is up with you? But that's not how God loves us. We go to confession. We're completely, clean of all of our sins. Go to confession for those venial sins, those vices. All right, Karen, good girl. Thank you, girl. I get judgment thoughts sometimes, especially at church. Oh, that's funny. Oh, look at what she's wearing. Or the priest, or what I'm curious about, because that's an interesting place to get judgmental thoughts. I do sometimes have, and I don't dress beautifully. I have some dresses. They're all springy dresses. So it was 18 degrees yesterday and I went to mass in black pants. Day mass, I'm in there in jeans with a veil, which is kind of funny. So I don't know. I'm really curious about that. I have very negative thoughts, especially when I interact or engage with certain types of people, such as liberals or libertarians. I almost read that as libtard. Sorry. Yeah. So if the negative thoughts are, I can't believe that they think this. I can't believe that they're so brainwashed. That's a tough one, especially if you're around them a lot. It sounds like you might be around them a lot, Mike. And so the negative thoughts, God, they're so stupid, those types of things. My only advice is I am not going to close these anymore. I keep closing them, then opening them. Think of them as God's children. And then thank God for your morals, for your beliefs. I don't want it to be where, oh gosh, who was it in the Bible who was praying? It might have even been a priest, or it was some lawyer or something like that, who was like, Lord, thank God I'm not like that guy over there. And thank God that I, basically, I'm all this in a bag of chips. I tithe, I do this. Thank God I'm not like those sinners. And then over here, there's a man who doesn't even look up at God, is kneeling with his face down. Lord, have mercy on me, like this humble creature versus this pious individual. Yes, I have liberals on both sides of my family. Yeah, that's a tough one. And especially when they're your family, I mean, even if they're not like on a political side, or their beliefs are not exactly what yours are, everyone has issues with members of their family. Maybe it's alcohol, maybe it's, drugs, some relationship issues are always in the family. And that's where you just got to love them through it, love your way through it. Ask the Holy Spirit to help you love them no matter what, because in the end, they might be changed based on your love instead of your judgment, if that makes any sense. Karen, I should be grateful that I have a church to worship in. Oh, wait, hang on. The clapping, the music, the clapping, the talking before Mass. The clapping? When are people clapping? I will say, like where I'm at right now, we've got a cantor an older lady, and can't hit a note to save her life. And it's sometimes like, but I'm like, she's there. The reason why she's up there is because she's older and people are just letting her do that. Now there's there's a 5 o'clock on Saturday and an 11 o'clock, and they have guitars and things like that. So I'll take the woman who doesn't, hit a note over guitars any day. Talking before Mass. Now that is a pastor thing. Oh, I am so glad. Even in the Rockford Diocese, and Karen, I think you're in the Chicago Diocese, the Rockford Diocese, no matter what church or parish you went to, there was no talking before Mass. I mean, occasionally people would be like whispering loud, like those people are like, well, so did you, like they're talking just as loud as they were talking, but then they're whispering. But for the most part, no. Now, when the song is over, there's been a couple of parishes where it's just loud, rip roaring. And, people are trying to stay after and pray. So, and yes, I know you should be grateful that you have a church to worship in. I get it. But you got to tell me more about the clapping. For me, being judgmental tends to come and go. It depends on the situation. Absolutely. And I mean, I'm just really blessed that I don't have too much of that in my family. Most of my family thinks my way. So I think it might probably hit me too every now and then, like, what? But maybe it's more asking questions. This is where I've heard this so many times from people who are evangelizing. So if it's maybe another denomination, asking more questions like, why do you think that? Because I think when it comes to your situation, I'm not necessarily sure they know why. Like if anyone asks me, why do I believe this or why do I believe that? I've got 101 reasons why. I don't just believe it because I saw it or I was brainwashed into it. And not to catch them up, but just be like, in certain situations that you just don't get, like, why are you like that? Or why are you thinking that way? Like legit ask in a very sweet, kind way, not why do you think that? I'm just curious. Why is it that you think that? And change the tone of your voice to make it be more of a conversation than an argument. Okay. All right. So don't unguard your heart. Like guard it. Guard the thoughts that you think, especially those ones that belittle you. Try to love yourself like God loves you. It's very difficult to do because we can't comprehend that love, but it didn't help me once. I was with my spiritual director and he's like, look, God loves you. If you're perfect, or if you're not perfect. He loves you at a 1 and he loves you at a 10. And I was like, at that time, I'm like, oh, so I can like do this, this thing I'm struggling with, and he's still gonna love me, you know. Sometimes that doesn't work, but okay, so we've all heard the call to renew and transform your mind. Do not conform yourselves to this age, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind. Come here, baby. So it's an internal conversation. So the renewal of your thoughts leads to the renewal of your living. So when you start thinking in a certain way, like for me with my health, I'm so mad at me, and I shouldn't be talking down to myself, but why did I stop talking about being healed? There are people, actually, this beautiful family that I go to, I'm going to be going there for Christmas too. I'm staying down here because there's too much going on with the retreat home. I was telling her, like, you know what, I just am talking, and, you know, it's like, it's not those mantras. It's truly a physical thing with your brain. And then your brain hears it over and over and over again, and then reacts and starts healing the things in you, whether it's physical, spiritual, emotional. So start saying, I'm not judgmental at church. I'm not argumentative with my family. I'm not whatever else we have. You know, like, actually, say it in the opposite way. Don't use not, because I don't think your brain gets the not. I love my parish. I love all the people. What a community. You know, what interesting music. I don't know. It's crazy. Some priests want us to clap for the choir at the end, also clapping for people who are commended for something or award. So this is at the end, I'm assuming, which is okay, I guess, but weird. Interesting. People who go to mass dressed like they are going to the beach is another one. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you. But I was that person. I was that person in the beginning. You know, didn't really understand why I was there. You know, like, oh, this is Jesus. I should probably dress better. You know, I love it when men wear suits. I just think it's great. And down here we have a lot of people wearing long skirts, like down to the floor, kind of like the traditional, ooh, are you okay? Like the traditional Latin Mass type of look. So, but yes, I'm with you. And you know what? I'm like, well, at least they're here. You know, like, at least they're here. You see someone in shorts and flip-flops or whatever, well, they're still there. You know, maybe the reverence isn't there, but they are. So, So I found out that Saratoga water, you know, that big blue bottle that I would drink, was bought out by someone else, and actually by 2 companies. So now there's all this stuff in it. So I went out and I found that Icelandic Glacial is like the top rated sparkling water. Drink anymore. I don't smoke anymore. So my thing is my sparkling water. All right. Ephesians 4:22-24, put away the old self and be renewed in the spirit of your minds. Like, we got to talk to ourselves like we're a totally different person. We have to repeat, rinse and repeat what we want to be. You know, I love praying in the morning. I love getting up early in the morning. I love exercising. I love feeling my body get stronger. I love showing my love for my family. I love to bite my tongue when it's probably better that I don't say something. I love my church and all of its quirkiness. Because just like you said, Karen, right? Like, I'm just blessed that I have a church to go to. I mean, you can think of so many places around the world who might have their church blown up or are still trying to practice underground type of stuff. So it's a true getting rid of your old patterns in your mind and saying it, like fake it till you make it. The more you say these things, your brain is going to believe it because you've pretty much trained it not to do the things that you're trying to change. So I'm going to work out and then you don't. I'm going to work out and then you don't. Like, let's just replay that record over and over and over again. And I'm speaking for myself here. And then you expect like a different result. So now it is, I am a person who takes care of her body, who cares about this, but like make it religious, right? Who was given this body, paid for at a great price by Jesus. So I'm going to take care of it. Oh, sorry, that's my warming mat for my sourdough dough. I hope that you're thinking of things that you can repeat and rinse and repeat to yourself until it becomes you. Colossians 3:2, think of what is above, not what is on earth. So where we place our thoughts shape our desires and our behaviors. So if you feed your mind with good girl, I got you. Hold on. You didn't even drop it. Come on. Maybe that's why you want that. What about this one? This one too. No, not having it. Where was I? Where was I, guys? Oh, yeah. Where we place our thoughts shapes our desires and behaviors and patterns. So instead of watching Instagram reels, which, I'll be honest with you, there's quite a few religious Instagrams that come out. It's your algorithm. You can pretty much see by what's coming up in your algorithm what you're watching, So I've been watching more. Geez, I can't get enough of Father Rehill. He just had a 3-day mission, and I'm just listening to it in my bedroom before I'm going to bed. You just keep filling yourself with good things, reading the Bible, learning more about your faith. Maybe it's even psychology because, it is psychology that what we speak about comes about, and how we can trick our brain into being that person by just repeating those thoughts. Saying it out loud is even better. Weird. Oh. Got some more comments. No, they have clapping in the middle of the Mass, sometimes after the homily. Oh, all right. Do you feel like you can say something? Or no? I mean, speaking of Father Rehill, he's the one that's like, there is no clapping in Mass, especially after the homily. Like right before the Eucharistic prayer. Oh, that's so okay. I guess there's justifiable anger there, or just frustration. I don't know if you can write. I don't know. I've thought about this a couple of times when people don't want to speak to the priest directly, like writing an anonymous letter in an envelope and putting it in the mailbox or something like that. I don't know. We had something here where people were very uncomfortable with the new music that was going on, very, very non-Catholic. It's like you're supposed to only have an organ or a piano, I believe. I think those are the only instruments. So I was like, do you guys feel like you can talk to bother about that. And they're like, you know, we're part of the church too. And if you don't want to say it, maybe you just kind of slip something in there. And at least you can like get it off of your conscience, like every time it happens, you can just be like, well, I put a letter in there. I tried or whatever. Sometimes just putting forth that effort can help you. That's crazy. Yes, quite right, Kendra. Church attendance is always fluctuating. Yes. And, we should just be happy people are there. Hi, sweetheart. Hey, baby. You can lay down and go night-night. You can do it. You can do it. Okay. What? You're going to have to go poop after this. Okay, so actively controlling and disciplining your thoughts. Discipline, discipleship. I mean, if you think about the saints, have you ever met like a holy nun or a monk or someone where you're just, I'm not sure if you're going to be seeing a monk, but a brother where you can just see that this person doesn't even think any negative thoughts, just loves everyone, has no judgment. I mean, that takes practice, by the way, that takes grace. So like ask the Lord for that grace to love your family, to be peaceful through Mass, those types of things. Okay, 2 Corinthians 10, 3-5. We take every thought captive in obedience to Christ. Thoughts must be tested, not automatically accepted. Because guess who puts those thoughts in your mind as well? When you have a memory or an emotion, evil spirits have access to those too. This is why you shouldn't watch pornography, because those memories can be put in your mind at any moment. I remember having one of those come into my mind at Mass. I was horrified. But if I didn't watch it, I wouldn't have that memory of it, and they wouldn't be able to use it against me. Philippians 4:8, whatever is true, honorable, just, pure, etc., etc. Think about these things. So it's just like replacing those unhealthy thoughts with beauty. It's like when you're having a bad day or you're in a funk or something, you just switch it around and you're like, look at all the blessings I have. I was just outside letting Sierra out before this. And it was like, I'm looking up at the sky, all of these stars, there's not a cloud in the sky. And you could really see the stars here. Like, I'm not in the city, I'm in the middle of the country. I guess I am kind of in the middle of the country, but I'm in the country out here. And I said out loud, like, Lord, I can't believe I live here. Like, just switch your thoughts to blessings. Switch your thoughts to how grateful you are if you're married, how grateful you are for your family, how grateful you are for the roof over your head, the car that you have, the food on your table, running water, toilets, hot showers, like just the things that we take such we take it for granted. We take it totally for granted. But yet when we sit and we think about it, like yesterday, I was thanking God for heat. Okay. You throwing this thing? I always throw it in the wall. There it goes. All right. We just talked to our pastor about incense, so we'll wait a while before bringing up the clapping. Jayla, I'm about to go to confession right now. Prayers, Ken. P.S. Why am I always nervous right before I go? Because you have a conscience. Because there's something good about that. When you're just going and you're not nervous or, then it just becomes like you're taking it for granted. You're taking things to confession. Hold on, baby. You're taking things to confession because you know that you did wrong. And there's something good about that holy guilt or nervousness or whatever. All right. Okay, all right, hold on. Oh, right back into the. I'm going to throw a hole in this drywall here. Psalm 19:15, let the words of my mouth and the thoughts of my heart be acceptable in your sight, O Lord. So even our thoughts are an offering to God. Jesus, when I screw up with my F-bomb, like, I'm sorry. I offer this up. Or, you grab that thought, you make it obedient to Jesus, and you just offer it up. Like, okay, I thought this, I didn't act on it. But I thought it. So I'm capturing it. I'm not going to act on it. I'm going to offer it to you. Let the words of my mouth and the thoughts of my heart be acceptable in your sight, O Lord. Okay. God knows and heals the interior life. He knows what you're struggling with. He knows how hard you can be on yourself. He knows the sins that you're struggling with, the emotions that you can't control. He knows. Psalm 139, 23 through 24, probe me, O God, and know my heart. Try me and know my thoughts. So ask him in. He's going to heal you. He's going to bring clarity. Like, Lord, why do I keep doing this? Why do I keep doing this? Again, back to Father Rehill. He's had, back when he was in a hermit, or he was a hermit, sorry. Okay, hold on. You gotta relax, okay? We're almost done, okay? So when he was a hermit, they had to spend an hour in adoration with segments of the Our Father. And it got to, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. And he was like, oh, I know this one. This is, I got to do your will, God. And God was like, no. Like the angels, my will should be done completely, joyfully, and immediately. How many of us do God's will completely, joyfully, and immediately? And he said how many times he has just asked the Lord to come in and help him, especially with forgiving that priest who sexually assaulted him at 10. Like, do we have that big of a thing to deal with in our lives? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. Not assuming that I know what went on in everyone's life. Invite him in, ask him, and then be quiet, Sometimes so last night I was doing that. I asked him a question and my mind was completely blank. And then this thought out of left field came in and I'm like, really? That's what you want me to do? Like, wow. And then I didn't really like the answer. So I kept asking him and kept making my mind, go blank, waiting for another answer. And that one just kind of kept creeping around in the back of my mind. And I'm like, oh, okay. Okay. Wisdom 1:1. Think of the Lord in goodness and seek him in integrity of heart. Purity of thought is closely tied to intimacy with God. Think of the Lord in goodness and seek him in integrity of heart. When you say, oh, that person has a lot of integrity, it's because they stand up for what is right and they're an overall good person. Okay. She won't bark, but she'll whine a lot. Sorry, guys. So I guess we got to purify our thoughts at the end of the day, especially those ones that are driving us to sin. Those sins that we take over and over and over to confession. Isaiah 26:3. A steadfast mind you keep in peace because it trusts in you. So peace is the fruit of a God-centered life. So the more that you're bringing God in, the more that you're speaking with God, the more you build your relationship with him, the more that you trust him, the more peace you're going to have. I know you can look at this in your own life and be like, yep, I know it. I can look at the times when I was super deep, super like, oh, I don't know what, like when my husband died, I don't know what you want me to do. When he told me about the retreat home, I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, what? I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. So did I do it immediately, completely and joyfully? No, I was scared to death. Still kind of fearful, but hey, the baby's being birthed at the end of the year. So Sierra, come on. Now you stay over there. Hey. That's what I'm dealing with. Oh, Sierra. So I know you have had so many times where your prayer life is on fire. You're in total peace. You're giving it all to him. Or I hope that you have. If you haven't, you can. It's just this, constant conversation. That's what it is. Maybe it starts with the gratitude. And then you're just talking to him in the car and you're talking to him while you're in the grocery store. That is a game changer. I can speak from experience. Oh, all right, let's go to the saints. Saint Teresa of Avila, master the interior life. It is of great importance when we begin to practice prayer, not to let our own thoughts wander. So unchecked thoughts weaken prayer and spiritual growth, while disciplined attention to God brings freedom and maturity. So, how many of you are distracted when you pray? Hello, all of us. The difference between distraction and controlled thoughts are when the distractions come, you gently pull yourself back to God. When you don't, and those distractions come, and now you go check your emails, pick up your phone and look at text or Instagram, or you get up and do that thing, that's uncontrolled distraction, if that makes sense. The mind cannot be controlled, but it can be turned toward God. So we're always going to have distractions. It's just a matter of gently pulling yourself back to God. Oh, I got to send that text, or I need to put milk on my list. Oh, all right, wait, God, I can wait for that. My time is with you now. And then get back into the rosary or get back into that conversation. It becomes easier and easier to identify those distractions. And grab a pen and a piece of paper. I sometimes just do it. Oh, I got to text so-and-so, so I'll just, and then I'll go back to God. That's not right. You can write it down and do it later, but the fact that I would write it down would take me less time to just type it out and send the text and be gone off of my mind, So I don't know if that's really controlled, but sometimes it works for me. If it's like a very, very quick thing. St. Ignatius of Loyola, discernment of thoughts. In time of desolation, never make a change. So if you have been to a retreat or you just watched something amazing on YouTube, or you're just, you know what, I'm just going to get back into prayer. I'm ready. And then the next day you feel totally disconnected from God. Oh, by the way, the day before you committed to getting up at 5, praying for an hour before you got ready to do the rest of your day. And you were geeked up about it. You were excited. And then the alarm goes off and the excuses come. The evil one is telling you you didn't sleep good, hit snooze, you could pray later, all those types of things. Do it anyway. Like, don't change your spiritual patterns or new things that you are adding to your prayer life. It is characteristic of the evil spirit to cause anxiety, sadness, and false reasons. This comes with sin, distorted thoughts. I mean, like, oh, I'm supposed to be eating better, but you know what? I can just have this piece of cake, or I'm trying to work out and I can work out tomorrow. And then you say the same thing the next day, and then you say the same thing the next day. Or I could go to confession. I'm just going to watch this porn. Sadness, anxiety, and false reasons. The devil is so cunning. I mean, he's been watching you since you were in your mother's womb. Cannot read your thoughts, but reads everything on you. Your temperature, your facial expressions, he knows what you're thinking because he's been watching you forever. Or whatever little devil has been assigned to you since birth. Okay, Saint Therese of Lisieux, thoughts and trust. When I'm overwhelmed by troubled thoughts, I make an act of trust. Let me get that. When I'm overwhelmed by troubled thoughts, I make an act of trust. So she's surrendering, not analyzing, and it often breaks off that anxious thinking. So if you have a troubled thought and you just keep thinking of that troubled thought, or you're analyzing it, or you're sitting there, you're like, why in the world are they clapping? I can't stand this. And then you trail off into this. And now, by the way, you're not even paying attention to the Eucharistic prayer because you're still all in your head. And I'm not saying this is what happens, Karen. I'm just using your example. You just do an act of trust. Lord, I give this to you. I trust that this is still a good Mass. Even though it bothers me, I give it to you because I can't control everything. And you only allow certain things. And you're allowing this. So I'm giving this to you. And then hopefully you'll just have this beautiful peace that pours over you. Oh, this is so true. 4 words. Everything is a grace. It's not our power. That's why when we are in this mindset of whatever it is, that we have to just choke it and give it to God and ask for grace to not do that thing, not to judge, not to sin, not to do whatever, not to fall into despair, not to be anxious, not to be worried, blah, 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 blah. That's grace. And God always gives us enough grace. St. Paul says it, Lord, 3 times, please take this thorn out of my side. My grace is sufficient for you. Your weakness is where God shows his strength. Okay, so a simple thought, repeated often, shapes a life of peace and love. All right, almost done here, guys. So I have to keep getting up. St. Francis de Sales, however you say it, gentle control of the mind. Gentle. Do not be anxious or uneasy, but gently direct your thoughts to God. In prayer, specifically, but in life, if you find yourself just getting worked up about something, gently turn your thought to God. And you'll notice how gentle it is. Oh, I just got to talk to God about this. I just got to give this to God. Prayer, distractions. Oh, I can write down milk later. I'm going to go back to God. We must resist scruples as temptation. So saints recognized obsessive or condemning thoughts as something to be resisted, not obeyed. Condemning thoughts, obsessive thoughts, like we can do that to ourselves. Why did I do that again? It's like beating ourselves up. Don't obey those thoughts. Don't belittle yourself. Don't talk negatively about yourself. Self-deprecation, all that kind of jazz. St. John of the Cross, purifying the mind to reach satisfaction in all, desire satisfaction in nothing. How about that? To reach satisfaction in all, desire satisfaction in nothing. So detach your thoughts. It frees like your compulsive behavior. So, I'm going to be so satisfied when I have that cake. And then totally detach from the cake. I'm going to have satisfaction in nothing. The soul that is attached to anything, however small, will not attain liberty. Is it your phone? Habitual thought patterns can become attachments. The soul that is attached to anything, however small, will not attain liberty. Are you worried about money? Are you worried about what other people are doing, what other people are thinking? There's no liberty in that. St. Catherine of Siena, interior awareness. If you are what you should be, you will set the world on fire. If you are what you should be, you would set the world on fire. So it's all inward transformation because we're all working on something. This is why I say soul, mind, and body, because it always starts with the soul. We need God to change our hearts. We need the Holy Spirit to fill us. Then our mind will follow, and our body. Half the time, our body is our leader, or you switch between the mind and the body. Depends on what you're struggling with. And then we forget all about God. In that transformation, build a cell inside your mind from which you can never flee. So it's like this interior room where you and God go. And no matter what's happening out and around and about in the world, you are there in this like inner cell with God, finding that peace and that love and that trust that he's going to get you through whatever it is that you're dealing with. St. Padre Pio, battling intrusive thoughts. Do not be discouraged by temptations against purity, faith, or obedience. These are not sins unless you consent. He reassures souls that thoughts are not sins unless welcomed, which goes against Jesus, who said, if you look at a woman with lust, you've already committed adultery in your heart. So I don't know about that. What do you guys think? St. Augustine, ordered loves and thoughts. Ordered loves, plural, and thoughts. My weight is my love. Wherever I am carried, my love is carrying me. What we dwell on shapes what we love. Do we dwell on God? Or do we dwell on ourselves and our mistakes and our miserable blah, 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 blah? Are we always thinking of God? Because if we always think about God, then we're going to live more how God is asking us to live, right? We're going to love to do his will with completeness and immediate and joyful. All right, bad thoughts come from the heart, not from God. bad thoughts come from the heart, not from God. You know, God's never going to tell you to do bad things. God's never going to give you an attitude or an emotion that isn't the fruit of the Holy Spirit. Okay, that's it. All right, and I'm trying to keep these to an hour also, because then it gives me time to shut everything down and get ready for prayer and all of that kind of stuff. So I don't know, let's all work on our thoughts. Change the way we think. Let's do it for a week. Let's come back here next Monday, see how it goes. What difference did it make? How did we do it? You know, I mean, this was supposed to be like we come here and we talk about what we're supposed to be working on, and I'm working on mobility. I didn't start off Advent very good, but I'm going to finish it strong. Oh, but that's even a negative way to say it, you know? I mean, I'm like hearing myself speak. Advent for the first couple of weeks, I mean, I don't even know how to say that any better. Wasn't very good. Could have been better. Maybe that's, I don't know. But we all have to work on that. So when you go to bed tonight, you know, speak to Jesus. Ask him, like, what is my self-talk? What are my thoughts that I have to change? Maybe it's not every one of them, but you've got probably some big rocks in that bucket that if you just focused on those, you took a couple rocks out of there, you'd have so much more space for God to come in. Okay. The more disordered our thoughts, the more disordered our lives will be. Yep. Amen, brother. Jayla, sorry about so many emails. And you're right. I'm about to go inside right now. I guess I'm just nervous because I want to mean it. Love you. Thank you so much for your wisdom. I hope your confession is beautiful. Okay. So yeah, that's frequent confession too. Nothing better than, I mean, identifying the times when you're not trusting God, when you're doing your own will, all that kind of stuff is good. And you should take that into confession, but maybe not every day. I remember going to this traditional Latin Mass place in Volo. It was a church, and they had confession every day before Mass. And I was like going in there almost every day. And so I asked the priest, I'm like, is it okay if I come every day? And he's like, maybe like once a week. And I'm like, okay. So anyway, we all have things that we can work on. So let's change our negative talk into positive talk. Like, not like, oh, I'm going to do, like I am. Not I'm going to work out. It's I am a person who works out. Like, be that person right now and speak it like you are. Okay. I love you guys so much. Oh, I like your Christmas tree and the deer underneath. Thanks. I have a little wooden nativity thing, but the star came off, so I didn't put it up. But thank you. So this is a good thing, just a quick little personal deal. When I first put this up last year, because, you know, I had Sierra then, she would eat the deer and she would chew on the presents and all of the little things that were on the tree. And this year smelled them when they first came out and hasn't gone back, which is kind of cool. She's getting there. All right, everyone. I love you all so much. Find something more with God, soul, mind, and body. Give that self-talk